Hey, my name is Subterra. So after watching different guides, um, I came to the conclusion that I wanted to make my own mini guide and for Hunter. And the reason for this is because after watching these guides, there was always something that I felt that was missing, especially when it comes to pets and leveling. So I figured I would try to give it a shot and uh, just to show uh, my opinion in the matter. So let's start with the bow progress on the horde side for bows. This is pretty much how it's gonna look like. You definitely want the Venom Strike from Wailing Cavens. Very important. If you happen to get this, you should, if you can help it, try to farm it because it's gonna last you for many levels. The bow progression for Hunter is so incredibly bad for leveling that your range damage is gonna be super bad. And that's one of the reasons to why you go Beastmaster while leveling, because really there isn't really much choice in order to pump your damage in terms of bows. There are very few blue ranged weapons that you'll get, so yeah, and definitely very few bows. So make sure to get the Venom Strike. Um, if you don't, you can get the I don't know, you can get the one in Thunder Bluff, the Plunger Ball as well. But yeah, after that, just if you're lucky, you can get um, a gun from Egnom Regan, for instance, or maybe some other item from a dungeon. But honestly, they're gonna be a bit difficult to get. So yeah, so you'll be using the Venom Strike for like 15 levels at least. It's crazy. So yeah, after that, just get the Master Hunter's Bow from Stranglethorn, and yeah, and then just do the quest in Moradin. That's about it. And when it comes to pets, the most important thing for hunters, right? And the reason for me to make this mini guide is the pets. And you know, many guides tell you that you should level with a cat, you should level with a boar, but I'm against that. My recommended pet is the wind serpent. This is for horde, of course. So the pros for the wind serpent is that he has the range damage called lightning breath, right? It pierces armor, it does nature damage, so it's great. It does a lot of damage. One of the higher damaging pets out there, and so it's easy to feed. You can give it mage food if you happen to have a buddy. They can give you mage food. That's great. But the main purpose for this pet is that it has only one skill. Only one skill. You can also try to bite, but you don't need that. So you will also have to learn to dive later on. But I mean, just let's not worry about that right now. So lightning breath is gonna be your main damage. That's the only ability that you need to train, and the good thing about it, it will come with that ability as soon as you train it. You don't have to walk to some other place, tame another pet, in order to get bite and claw and all that stuff. You don't need that. It comes with lightning breath, and you're done. Simple, right? That's the whole purpose of your leveling experience. It has to be easy, fast, and a good pet. So perfect pet. Um, of course, it's not everything is good about it. It's also frail. It's not exactly the tankiest pet, but this is a pet that you can actually use in end game as well. So that's also very important. You don't have to worry about taming different pets. Tame this, you will have it for end game, and when Sogurab is up, you'll get the latest ability as well. The next pet that I recommend is the wolf. So the pros for this pet is its physical damage that it boosts to the whole party every 10 seconds or so. It also has, just like the Wind Serpent, has very few abilities. So this pet has Bite and Furious Howl. And the cool thing about it, just like the Wind Serpent, as soon as you train a wolf, it will come with Bite and Furious Howl. You don't have to walk around and train anything else in order to learn it for the wolf. It already comes with everything in one package. Very easy to set up, very easy to level with, high damage. The thing about the wolf, it has very high burst damage, very similar to the boar. It does also, of course, come with the downside that it has inconsistent damage. So if you happen to miss the first 2 hits or 1 hit on the wolf, it's gonna be painful for your pet. So, well, the Wind Serpent might actually be a little bit better there because it doesn't have to worry about its attacks to be parried or dodged or missed too much, right? So, but still, the wolf is amazing. You will also use this pet in endgame. You will also in dungeons. Amazing, amazing pet. In fact, this is probably the pet that I will go with to at least level 30. And then maybe I will probably go with the Wind Serpent. But we'll see how it goes. But definitely, yeah, very good pet. In other guys, they do recommend the boar and the cat. I would not recommend this. I've tried the boar in different occasions. I never really liked it. Of course, it's a matter of maybe a matter of opinion, but what I found out is that this has very inconsistent damage in a way. It also it doesn't have enough damage, especially if you go on Beastmaster. That minus 20% damage, I mean that's a lot. So yeah, and yeah. So also the cooldown on the charge is just way too long for my liking. This is probably the main reason to why I don't like the pet. The charge on the boar is just way too long of a cooldown. The time it takes me to kill one mob is so fast that by the time I go to the next mob, it's not gonna be ready. So if you really want to keep up your pacing with your leveling and you're killing your mobs, you want something that it's gonna be consistent, right? Constantly. So yeah, the boar, no go. The cat, sure, it's great, has high damage, but it also has a lot of abilities that it needs to learn. Bite and Claw has so many ranks. You have to go to different places in order to train them. The cat does not come with these abilities. It does not come all in one package. So you have to go around and train another pet and then learn that ability and then go to your main pet and then train it and so on. So it's just inconvenient. And it also the cat also has prowl later on and has dash. These are a lot of abilities that you need to learn while leveling, so I would not recommend the cat, unless of course maybe you're a night elf and you really like to hide, then sure. But this is mostly for horde anyway, so yeah. This is the talent tree that we are looking, this is probably what I would go with for a raid environment. It's very similar to what most people are used to, I think. Of course, there are some variations where you kind of mix, right? Maybe with PvP, and you make like this hybrid build. Uh, so yeah, you can definitely make some different choices in survival tree in particular. But this is just up to you. Um, I would say this though, that trap mastery, 1 point in trap mastery, why not just put 1 point in there? As the role as a hunter is trapping stuff, so make sure that your traps do not get resistant too often. So put 1 point there. You won't be missing much just by putting 1 point there. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. So let's go to the next stat weights. The hit rating for the hunter is 9%. That's the good thing about being a physical damage dealer. You don't have to worry about hit rating too much, unlike spellcasters. So 9% is quite doable. There are different ways to do that, to get there, but you want to get 9% or close to that as soon as you can, because another hunter role in raids will be to tranquilize beasts to remove their enrage effect. And so in order to do this, you have to have as close to 9% as possible, so you don't wipe, or the raid doesn't wipe. Usually you would have 2 hunters for this to make sure that you hit it. So make sure to have at least 2 hunters in your raid, if not even 3, because you never know. One of the hunters might get sick, and all of a sudden you only have 1 hunter. Just have enough hunters to do this. And then when it comes to stat weights, I mean, this will vary depending on the situation and raid environment and buffs and all that. But yeah, 40 in AP is going to be 1 DPS, and 1% crit is equals to 1% hit, and all that. So you can use it into your favor to sort of figure out what kind of beast items you want for your hunter. So when it comes to beast training, you want fire resistance and shadow resistance mostly. In phase 1 there will be a lot of fire damage, so obviously the fire damage resistance is going to be necessary. And then there's also a lot of crowd control and maybe some damage that does shadow, and so you also want shadow resistance. As high of a rank you can get, I think you'll be getting something around 180, like dependent on your buffs and all that, maybe 190. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You also want stamina on your pet to get as much health as possible for raiding, because improving its armor is not going to do much for it. But of course it's totally different if you're leveling. While leveling, you can do a bit different, and you can train armor, you can train stamina, and I would probably improve the pest resistance mostly towards fire, shadow, and nature. Mostly shadow and nature, I would say, because there is a lot of damage out in the world that is fire damage, nature damage, and shadow damage in particular. So yeah, when it comes to PvP, you will probably change this around a bit depending on what you like, but for PvE, this is what you're looking for. So when it comes to macros, this are the macros that I would probably end up using. There's probably more, but this is probably about what I think are the most important ones for now. You do want the trap mastery, trap macro, because Fang that works a little bit different than in retail. So in order to put a freezing trap, you have to Fang that and make sure to get out of combat, and then you can put a trap. You want to do this as fast as possible, so you want to spam the same button, right? There is also spell bashing, so you need to make sure to get out of combat and put the trap as fast as possible to make sure that the trap triggers. Otherwise, the spell bashing might actually be not very favorable for you, because you might end up missing that trap if you're not fast enough. So you want a macro for scatter shot as well, and you want a mouse over. Very important. A lot of people in retail would use focus macros for this. You cannot use focus macros in classic, so this is the next best thing, right? So you also want to start attack macro. It's gonna look like that, and the exclamation mark in front of auto shot is gonna make sure that it doesn't get disrupted by anything. And it will also start your pet attacking, which is good, all good. And same like in retail, you have the option to cast flare where your cursor is. So you want this macro in order to not having to press the button 2 times. So you just press the macro 1 time and it will cast the flare right where you want it. Then you have a melee macro. I would strongly suggest not to put wing clip in this macro. You want to have wing clip separately and it's standalone. And the reason for that is because it's very easy to spam the button and you'll just be spamming wing clip constantly, and it may not necessarily be a good idea. Just get it separately, a non-macro for it, standalone, and you'll be fine. Then you have an aspect macro. It's also important to have. It's very easy to cancel your aspect of the hawk if you spam the button. So if you have the exclamation in front of the macro spell, you'll make sure that it doesn't get removed. So that's great. The cancel override is not really a big deal, but you can get that if you like. Then you have the concussive mouse over, which is pretty much the same thing as a scatter mouse over. You also want that because sometimes you may want to slow a different target than the current target that you're attacking. It could be because, let's say, you have a frost mage attacking the same target as you are targeting, and so it's already slowed, right? But you want the slow on a different target to either, for different reasons, to make it going to combat, or just to simply slow it down so it doesn't get to you as fast. Yeah, different reasons for it. So you have that mouse over so you don't have to retarget. Then you have the Hunter's Mark macro, very important macro. You can use this for instance, when you get ganked, all of a sudden someone starts attacking you, you're not sure where it is. Use this macro, try to look in different locations, spam this macro, and as soon as you see that you target someone with the Hunter's Mark, start using your start attack macro. And the idea for this is that you'll do the most effective damage this way. Because when you get ganked, you kind of tend to stiffen up a bit, and you might do mistakes. So this is the best way to make sure that you do as much damage as possible to the target, and all in as fast as possible. So you'll target the opponent, it will cast the Hunter's Mark, and then press the start attack macro, and at the same time as you cast the Hunter's Mark, it will start attack the target with the ranged weapon. So you'll be saving a lot of time doing this. And then you have the Eye of the Beast macro. This is mostly um, just to look amazing when you're doing this. I'm not sure if a lot of people are going to use this in dungeons, but anyways, the whole point of it is that whenever you want to jump down a ledge, the pet is going to run around instead of following you. It's going to take the longest route. And so with this, you'll make sure that you'll physically make sure that the pet jumps down the ledge, and then you'll just follow. So it will make sure that the pet stays there. So with this, you'll have no problems. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. Thanks for watching. See you around.